welcome to another UC Big News Show with me, David Dungay. Today I have another plethora of guests. Welcome everyone. Let's do a quick round of introductions. We have Zeus, Kerravala, the mighty Evan Kirstel, John Arnold, Melody Brew, and Blair Pleasant. Thank you all so much for joining me. We've got a great show for you all today. We're going to pick out some of the most prominent news elements from the last sort of few weeks or so and give it a bit of a discussion. The first one I want to pick up on is off the back of NICE Interactions, actually. Now, NICE has launched a new UCaaS proposition. So normally we're seeing UCaaS providers going into the CX space, not the other way around. But now $5 user per month UCaaS proposition. What do people think of this? And what do people take away from NICE Interactions as well? Blair, I know you were there. Do you want to kick us off?
Sure. Yeah, it was a great event, as always. They just do a fantastic production, and Barack, their CEO, is absolutely amazing. So, they knocked it out of the park, as always. And there were lots and lots of announcements. Most of them, of course, were CX related, but they did have one UC related announcement, as you mentioned, announcing One CX, which they said, is a fully featured communication suite with unlimited telco usage at what they're saying a market-shattering price of $5 a month. So basically, they can offer an integrated UCaaS and CCaaS offering. And I think really what's been happening, as you mentioned, all the UCaaS vendors have been offering CCaaS, and a lot of customers have been, in their RFPs asking for an integrated or unified solution from one vendor. So companies like, Five9 and NICE, they're like, okay, we have to do something. So, basically NICE came out, they're OEMing a product, and basically they've got a full UCaaS solution. It's got, meetings and collaboration and, the whole gamut. So basically they can now say, we've got a single solution, and, we offer a full UCaaS solution. Now, NICE is not becoming a UC vendor. So basically this is only for customers that have a CX1 license. So, they made it clear we're not going to become, we're not going to be selling it standalone. We're not becoming a UCaaS, standalone provider. But if you do want that single solution, so you can do, reaching out to a subject matter expert and, pulling in other people into a conversation to assist customers, what I call CXE or CX for everyone, you can now do that with NICE. Now, so it's interesting, when they first came out with this, they thought that it was really going to be aimed at the low end, because they said they were seeing a lot of demand from the lower end of the market for an integrated UCaaS and CCaaS solution. But they found that customers who they're talking to are actually all over. It's not just the low end, it's also medium and high end. So that'll be interesting to watch how that goes. So the other thing, and I'll let John talk about this a little bit more, is their relationship with RingCentral. Because as many of us know, RingCentral was basically, RingCentral still is a NICE partner. So when RingCentral needs a strong CCaaS offering, they have the NICE offering. But in the past year or so, RingCentral came out with their own CCaaS solution called RingCX. So basically, we're starting to see the relationship fray a little bit. I mean, it's still there for high-end solutions, and they're still strong partners, but we are starting to see a little bit of diversion there. So, John, I don't know if you want to expand on that more.
So, yeah, Blair, you've covered it pretty well. And I just think it just reflects, the dynamics of the marketplace. Like you say, if Ring can go for contact center, we can go for UCaaS, and being partners, they can't really stand still when something like that happens. And it's always the risks of any of these big partnerships that, Ring seems to have mastered doing with just about everybody who has prem customers. And so sooner or later, things catch up. But also, like you say, Blair, it's really not that. It's much easier, I think, for contact center vendor to add UC than it is to go the other way around. So is very little,
Absolutely.
I think there's very little risk there. And, a little bit like the way with WebEx, they offer their entry level CCaaS offering for free. And then, you can go up to the higher bundles and stuff. you got to have something that's very enticing, that's either free or near free, that at least gets you in the game. And I think for obviously their partners, and we didn't hear a lot about the partners at NICE, but for them, this answers some questions for them to say, now I can offer UCaaS to some of my customers where I don't have to go to another platform. And if a big message from Barry and Barak is how the CX1 platform, it's all there in one place. That just reinforces that message that yes, all there includes UC. And like you say, where it matters for contact center is when you have to pull in those subject matter experts who are outside the contact center. That's part of the bigger story that NICE is selling about, having this whole empower concept of having, this augmented memory and all these esoteric ideas they were throwing out there. But really, that's the full vision of AI that they're trying to sell. So the UCaaS isn't an AI story, but it certainly is. It's an easy thing to align with what they're already doing. So I don't see really any downside to this, unless, of course, they can't deliver and execute. And there's always a risk there because they haven't gone down this path before. It's like when Zoom partnered with Five9, Five9 is still a partner. And so for the higher end contact center complex deployments, they'll still use Five9, but they're going their own way now too with contact center. And again, the simpler, smaller scale ones, those solutions can do the job.
Yeah, what's interesting about this too is this trend of UCCC come together isn't new. And as Blair pointed out, all the UC vendors have CC. And they're really the first. I know TalkDesk came up with a voice only offering, but NICE is really the first CC vendor to actually offer UC, which I find like their own UC, which I find kind of interesting, although it's still OEM, but something they'll sell on their paper, not through partnerships. So I'm curious to see how the other CCaaS vendors actually respond, because there's a lot of pure plays in the space and none of them have really seemed to have any interest in UC. In fact, if you ask some of the other pure plays, they'll tell you there isn't a lot of interest in bringing those together. I think part of that is that historically a lot of UC buyers pulled through contact center, but not the other way around. But I think NICE being in the space might help change that.
Well, I think more and more the RFPs are asking for a single vendor and an integrated solution. So I think the CCaaS vendors needed to have something to respond to. And as you said, TalkDesk came out with their own. It was a couple of years ago now. So it's surprising that it took so long for some of these other vendors to come out with their own. But they're competing. Zoom and WebEx and all these other vendors that aren't standalone CCaaS, but are strong CCaaS players, do have that integrated story. So it is important to have something to bring to market.
But even with TalkDesk, they haven't done much with their product, right? Theirs was voice only when they rolled it out, and as far as I know, it's still the same. It's not a full meeting suite. It's been 2 years.
The perceived value part of it is, it is so saturated. But, and then to Blair's point about some vendors want, or the RFPs are looking for one vendor, but often when you see something like this, it is looked as sort of the backup solution. If it's $5 or it's free, it's like, let's have it as our backup. So I think sometimes when you're pricing too low or you're pricing free, there might be that value, that perceived value of like, well, how good is it? But it's definitely, like they say, it's disruptive.
I have a feeling we're all going to look back on this conversation and pinpoint it as the moment UC was commoditized. It feels like it's almost there. Let's move the conversation on slightly. I mean, we've been talking about partnerships. RingCentral being one of the vendors in the conversation. Ring, like Blair mentioned, has got relationships all over the market right now. What does this mean for RingCentral? And what about some of its other partnerships? We've seen them partner with Mitel, Avaya, among others. What's the latest on that? Blair, do you want to kick us off on that one as well?
Sure. So one thing we did here at the Avaya event, this spring has been full of events, is that Avaya and Zoom have a partnership and a native integration. So basically you can get Avaya Aura from within Zoom. So again, Avaya has been a strong partner of RingCentral, and basically RingCentral is the go-to CCaaS. But now Avaya is expanding to working with other vendors. So they're working with Zoom very strongly. And at the Avaya analyst event, Eric was there. Eric from Zoom was there on video, basically talking about how collaboration is driving the telephony choice, and how they're basically Avaya and Zoom have a lot of mutual customers, and basically Zoom is going to be the go-to for collaboration for Avaya telephony customers who can leverage Zoom with the Avaya telephony infrastructure. So I think that's a pretty big deal. And when I mentioned something to Avaya about we didn't hear much about UCaaS, they said, well, you heard from Zoom. So Zoom really is part of their big UCaaS story now.
Well, while we're on the topic of Zoom, Zoom opened its experience center in London recently. These are amazing spaces actually, where we get to see all of the technology in action. How applicable it is to real life workplaces, I'm not as sure, but it looks amazing. Melody, I think you were at the experience center. What kind of impact are you seeing these type of experience centers having on the market? And what are they of any use to customers and partners? What are your thoughts on that?
I haven't been to this one yet, but I have been to others similar. I think, as we were talking about before, I think this is a bit of a trend in terms of getting people in a space like Cisco has, like Microsoft has with IBM, with their partnerships, at being able to put on display these solutions where you can say, okay, this is how I can see this in my space, or this is how I can imagine using this. I think it's a really good move for Zoom, particularly when they're really trying to get out of being kind of pigeoned as this video conferencing solution, able to showcase all of their other solutions. I don't know, how much customers go in there and then say, okay, yes, this works for me in my space, or I can see this, translating. But I do think that it's really important to be able to showcase the technology in a way other than just somebody giving a demo online or being able to just point to a website. I do think these experience centers, similar to how we're seeing, and Zeus can probably speak to that now because I believe he's at the US Open, similar to how we're seeing companies using sports to showcase technologies. I'm actually headed to Wimbledon next week, where IBM showcases their sports showcases their technology through sports. These experience centers are a way to showcase technologies with interaction. And I think that that's really helpful, especially for a company like Zoom that is in so many people's mind thought of as doing one thing, and they're doing so many more things than just the one. And we all just recently saw that at the Zoom event.
But it's more than just showcasing technology. I mean, and Zoom made it very clear. I mean, to me, they're right on the money with this, that it's not just a collaboration platform, but it's transforming the way we work. And with businesses struggling with hybrid and trying to get people back in the office, right? For that to work, you've got to have a better experience than people can have at home. Otherwise, why would I leave my house? So I think those environments are really great ways to say, hey, we're not just selling you a new video system or a collab platform. We're showing you how it works kind of in the wild, where people are when you've got to get them into the office. And I think I think that puts a lot of the IT guys, but also the facilities managers at ease to say, yeah, now this is a bigger picture here that we're talking about. And of course, when anything to do with demonstrating the power of some of the video platforms, the power of some of the audio technologies, and most importantly is the immersive experiences that these guys eventually want to get towards.
Actually, to correct me, it's the U.S. Senior Open in Newport, Rhode Island, but not fun of Wimbledon. I'm not sure how effective these are. Companies that have had executive briefing centers for years. Every vendor's got an EBC, and I've talked to a lot of the customers that have run through the Cisco Pen One in Atlanta, right? And they've had those for a while, and it is a great way to showcase technologies. No doubt about that. The hard part, though, is being able to capture that and drop that into a customer environment and then getting some value out of it, because there's a lot of other things that go into that, how people work, things like that. I actually like the model better when you see one of the partners like Worldwide Technology with their advanced tech, with the ATC, their advanced technology center, actually be able to bring the vendor's technology, but a multi-vendor solution together, right? Because all you're really going to see in the Zoom one is Zoom and the Cisco one is Cisco. But I think the ability to build multi-vendor ones, that's really, to me, if you could replicate that through partners, that's a much more scalable way to do it. And so I think it's a good sort of step one, but I'd like to see Zoom be able to take this out to the partner community and have them replicate it on a broader scale.
Yeah. Well, should we move on to our next topic then? We've spoken about the decoupling of Teams and 365 in the European region on previous shows. Apparently that is not enough, though, and Teams needs to do more. I've been at Commsverse this week. If you don't know what Commsverse is, it's a Microsoft Teams focused event here in the UK. And I've got to be honest, I'm not sure anyone really cares about this decoupling and anything they might do to kind of stop Teams challenging the market. It just seems like the dominant platform. But I'm really interested in what our panel think. Zeus, should we go to you first on that? Teams decoupling from 365. People are calling for more to be done on the competition front. What are your thoughts?
I do think it is something that has given Microsoft an unfair advantage, though. But I don't think the simple decoupling of it's enough. I think this is something where, if you look at the use of Teams or Slack or whatever platform you want to pick, once you use it for any extended period of time, which is even a couple of months, there's so much data put into it that you're stuck with it. So you can decouple it. In a lot of ways, it'll favor Microsoft more because they'll just charge you for Teams and for O365, right? So you're going to wind up paying more. I think if the DOJ or the EU or any of these governing bodies really want to create a level playing field, which I think would be great to see, you would force the vendors to create a migration tool, a set of migration APIs to make it easy to go from Zoom to Teams or Teams to Slack or Slack to WebEx or whatever. Because, like I said, the decoupling now, the forced decoupling now is a little bit of I don't know. It just can't be that impactful without forcing them to move the data as well. Because, like I said, once your data's in there, your data's in there, and it's a little bit like what's that? Hotel California analogy where you can check out but you can't ever leave, right? And that's what a lot of customers are facing today.
Yeah, so I was just reading an article written by someone from the Information Technology and Innovation Foundation, and basically said, so I'll read this. The charges against Microsoft are yet another chapter in the European Union's ongoing crusade against American technology companies using weaponized antitrust policy aimed at protecting competitors rather than competition, innovation, and consumers. So basically, they're saying, Teams is not dominant in the UK, in Europe, and Slack and Zoom and Google all have larger shares than Teams in most European markets. So there's really no need for this lawsuit, and they think it's a pretty bad deal. So there are definitely organizations that think that the EU has gone a little too far.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, let's move on. We've got one last story to share with everyone, and that is an acquisition story. I'm going to go to Evan on this one, and it's OpenAI has been making a few acquisitions recently, actually. But the one of interest we want to talk about today is of a collaboration vendor, small startup vendor called Multi. Now, I'm not entirely sure what this means for the collaboration market right now. But it's interesting, an AI-first company acquiring a collaboration platform. Evan, what do you make of it? What does this mean for the market?
Well, I can speak as a ChatGPT power user mainly, and what it means to me and potentially a lot of other users and businesses, particularly small businesses, I think, to start. First of all, let's say just talking about Microsoft, I was reading an article on the Information just this morning, and OpenAI's AI revenue directly with enterprises and end users is greater than Microsoft's own AI-specific revenue, which is an ironic insight given the nature of that relationship and partnership. And I think that speaks to what's going on here, which is today, ChatGPT is a bit of a silo. I mean, you're as a user, you're sort of using the app, and it's very useful as a utility. But if you're in a business or collaborating with others, you're all kind of in silos. And while there are some fundamental sharing capabilities, you can't collaboratively co-create content with ChatGPT. And I think that what this opens up is, advanced integration tools and screen sharing and the kind of collaboration features that you'd expect within a business. And that's going to be integrated not just in the tool, but from a desktop app. And so they're bringing in they're bringing in the team and the founder. It's not just the technology. I think it's the talent they're acquiring to boost expertise in collaboration technology. And I think it's about improving the user experience. I mean, ChatGPT is like a command line. It is a command line, basically. And it's pretty simple and basic, which is part of its appeal. But it's lacking a lot of the bells and whistles you'd expect from an enterprise tool or SaaS tool. And so, for remote users and collaboration across boundaries, it'll be really important. And it's important for their expansion. I mean, OpenAI, if you're not aware, is on a $3.4 billion revenue run rate this year. And if you can imagine, a lot of those are $20 per month users like myself. And again, there are a lot of enterprise users who I suspect are using it over the top or like in a shadow IT standpoint. But it's a vast untapped opportunity to go after enterprises directly. They just signed up PricewaterhouseCoopers as not only a official enterprise user, but also a reseller, integrator for all of its customers. So this is, all part of their strategic expansion and focus on the enterprises. Multi will be, shut down sometime this summer, and the team and the features will be incorporated into their app and their service. So, I mean, it'll be really intriguing to watch and to use these features. What do you guys think?
I definitely think. I mean, Evan, you use it a lot, but I think there's still some lag in terms of the data and how current it is. So I think there's still some concern around that. And if they're really doing this big enterprise push, it feels to me like they've got to get that right. But I agree with you that if you are wanting to use that and collaborate at the same time, it makes sense to have that capability there. But I also think we're seeing that capability being built by Microsoft, by Zoom, by everybody else who's building AI into collaboration platforms and being able to collaborate. So I think there's a lot of competition there, but I think, OpenAI is on an M&A tear, so they're definitely building something.
That begs the question as well. What's the next acquisition target for OpenAI? They've had a collaboration this week. What's down the line, and where's the end goal? I guess you can't see the end goal of AI exactly, but where do people think this is going? I mean, Zeus, I know you're a user of AI. What are your thoughts?
I think OpenAI owning this it makes it more of a set of developer tools, right? I think that's important too. Where to date, a lot of a lot of the use of these AI tools have been built into specific products. And I think the ability to take these things and make them features and drop them to other applications becomes important. And that's where OpenAI really scales, right? It's a very developer-focused audience, that's curated by developers, run by developers. And I think that's where you see the scale come from. And so this will make it easier to use. I think it's not just for collaboration tools anymore. I mean, you look at some of the stuff that OpenAI can do now, from creating ad hoc videos and there's customer service implications and things like that. So I think this is where the scale from the industry comes from, and I think overall it's a good thing for everybody because it creates more awareness at that coder level.
Great. Okay. Well, in that case, I think we should end today's discussion. I'd just like to say thank you so much to my illustrious panel of analysts, Zeus, Evan, John, Melody, and Blair. Thank you so much for joining me, and we'll see you at the next one. Thanks for watching.